Hey everyone, welcome to the I Am Possible podcast. I'm Nicole and I'm so glad you're here. If you're new, welcome to the family. And if you're a regular, you already know what's up. This podcast is all about breaking barriers, shifting mindsets, and celebrating the incredible individuals from the disability community who are rewriting the rules on what it means to live boldly. So grab your favourite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into some stories that are going to give you a fresh perspective. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get this conversation started. Hey Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey.
Hey, I'm so excited to have you on. I feel like we've known each other for quite a few years and existed in the
Mm.
same space, but we've never actually sat down and properly chatted about
Mm.
life and limb difference
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, gosh, that's true. I didn't even think of that either. Like we've known each other and we've met, but it, we've never been on like a one-to-one and gotten to know each other in that way. So yeah, this is lovely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. One of the things I've always loved about like you and your platform is how open and honest you are and how vulnerable you are with your
Mhm.
whole journey. What's kind of encouraged you to do that?
I think, I don't know, I like attention. That's like the very surface level thing. Or maybe that's not, maybe that's the deep thing. Um, I just think it's important to speak about things. And because I've been through a lot of things that are like quite taboo, um, people just don't speak about them. And it confuses me because a lot of people are experiencing these things, yet we're taught as a society to hide, and especially like emotional pain as well, like to hide that, yet we all experience it. And it just like that just baffles me. So I am someone that is just always going to be loud, and I've always gotten like a really good reception from being loud about my pain as well. And
Mhm.
people have always come to me and said, "You've really helped me with this," or "Thank you for talking on this topic." And it goes hand in hand with the writing that I do as well, because my writing came from that real vulnerable, deep place. Um, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you feel when you post something that feels quite raw and vulnerable and you start getting those responses back?
So initially, I used to be scared to post things, and I would even be scared to like talk on camera. And I would do it like on my story occasionally, and every time I like hit post, I would be like, "Oh my God, that was so cringe. Like, I can't believe I said that." And just all those voices that go round and round and round. But
Mm.
I think the more that you do that, the more that those things go, and the more that you connect to what that purpose is, like, why are you really wanting to share this, or why do you feel that it's important? And it always comes back to what I just said about like wanting to normalize and speak about those taboo things because we all experience them, and I think it's just so important to say. So yeah, like I used to get nervous to share, and now I don't want to say I don't care because I still do, but just not as much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely takes practice, I think, like to start putting
Yeah.
yourself out there. And the talking to camera, I used to hate that so much. And
Yeah.
watching it back is the worst thing. If I did anything on camera, I wouldn't want to watch it. I'd be
Mm.
like watching it through like my hand,
Hmm.
hiding.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel that.
And you mentioned a few times that you've been through a few taboo things. Would you be happy to
Mm.
share a bit more about your story and your journey so far?
Yeah, I can. I don't know, where do you want me to start? Because this could go on for like 3 hours.
I guess there's a lot of content that you share kind of around
Yeah.
addiction. Would you be happy to kind of share that journey?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, so 4 years ago, I made the decision to go sober, and that was because I had been taking drugs for a really long time before that, and I just got into this cycle of really disliking myself and really disliking my emotions and really being unable to handle the depth of my emotional landscape. And drugs are a great way to escape that.
Mm.
Like, so good to just take a drug and then you don't feel anything, or you feel like really elated and really high. Um, So I think it just was that escapism and that habit that grew into a dependency and yeah, an addiction. I only stopped because I then started to experience really debilitating symptoms of it. I say now to this day that I wouldn't have stopped if I hadn't have experienced psychosis, which is what I was in hospital for like 4 or 5 times. Um, and yeah, it was dark. But like I said, I was trying to escape something and then it just caught up with me. But it's been 4 years now, and the recovery from that has been one of the most beautiful, magical journeys of self-expression and self-discovery that I've ever gone on. So I'm really, really glad that I managed to overcome that. And I can safely say now as well that I know that I'm never going to go back to drugs or alcohol. Even now, like that I'm experiencing, currently going through heartbreak. I know that that will never be something that I go back to. And I've built up so many different tools to be able to cope now with that large emotional landscape that I experience with my sensitivity. And I'm really, really grateful for that. I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. And
Yeah.
what tools do you like pull on when you're feeling like, I don't know, yeah, you're trying to navigate that landscape and yeah, like, how do you do that?
So my main one is obviously writing. That's what I do. I'm a freelance writer, and I've had a few of my pieces about addiction and stuff published in the news, which is like insane but really cool. Um, and journaling as well, like journal prompts. I think it's really beneficial to ask yourself those deeper questions that we don't really speak about or other people don't usually ask. And also just like free writing, just like writing out and seeing what comes up. I think writing is very similar to art or any self-expression, or even like just going and dancing, like without any routine, because it reveals to us what's laying underneath that we might not have originally been aware of. And that's a really cool process as well. Like sometimes I won't know how I feel, and then I'll start writing, and then it will all be revealed to me, which I think is really magical.
I love that. And in terms of putting on tools, like I always find that I get really frustrated with myself because I've got these set tools, and one of them is journaling.
Mm,
I have like spiritual practices that I do. I've got like a Shakti mat, like a spiky mat that I'll lie on to kind of rebalance
mm,
my nervous system. But sometimes I just forget, and
mm,
I'll spiral, and I'll get to a point of like overwhelm and then I'll remember, oh yeah, like I should do these practices. These are the tools I have, but I forget, or I get to a point where it's almost no return before I put on them. How do you
mm.
navigate that?
Oh, mine are like engraved into my daily routine, and not every day, but I have practiced them so often now that I don't know, it almost becomes habit, doesn't it? There's a really good book actually called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about habit stacking. So, what like our unconscious is very programmed, and he says about doing something that you're already programmed to do, and then building one of those like ritual spiritual practices on top of that. So when you do that unconscious thing, you're then reminded of the other things that you actually want to do. And it's a really, really great book. And I learned from that. And I just started with 1 glass of water every day. And then on top of that, I built other things like journaling. And I used to meditate every day as well. I don't do that anymore. I'd love to get back into meditation because that is where I feel like I'm at my most peaceful. Um, I do it so sporadically now. But yeah, just it started with that glass of water and then I kept building other things on. And I think you have to really enjoy it as well. Because I think if you're going towards your practice and you're like, you only do it when you're in pain, or you only rely on it when you're in those moments where you feel like I really need it, you start associating with it with that pain and with that discomfort. And so then it doesn't feel like such a nice practice. Whereas if you try to do it daily, or if you say you just have like 30 days where you're going to do journaling, right? if you do that for 30 days, there's going to be days where you journal about really happy, amazing, beautiful things. Like it's not always going to be something that's going to come up that's painful. Um, so I think making it habitual and doing it more often so it doesn't have that association with those painful things is really, really good as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah,
Mm.
because I used to do it every morning. I'd get up, I'd have a coffee and journal, and that was it. I'd like match those two habits together. Like I'd never
Mm.
miss my coffee as like a mum
Yeah.
of like two small boys. So it's like
Yeah.
journal with the coffee. And then I don't know, just something broke the habit, and
Mm.
then it just became like, yeah, when I'm struggling, quickly pull out the journal or
Yeah.
pull out the tracking mat or whatever. So
Mm.
yeah, I really like that. I'll have to try and do that. Just build
Yeah.
it in for the day rather than wait for the need for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned as well about kind of going through heartbreak at the moment. How are you pulling on your tools again? Have you changed anything or are you just keeping that routine?
Mm.
And how are you finding that whole journey?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is about that is, so I found out 4 days ago now that my partner had been sending hundreds of pounds to different women. And the funny thing is about it is that I already knew about this problem that he had, and we had discussed things like, he told me that he paid for porn a few times, and that to me was very minor compared to what it actually was when I looked at the bank statement. And so it was this real moment of like, as I was scrolling, like my heart just sank and I just felt like completely crushed. And so
Mm.
since that day, I've been avoiding my journal because I know that it's going to be hard and uncomfortable until
Yeah.
today, until this morning. And I managed to write this morning. And so, yeah, in answer to your question, I really didn't lean on anything. I just was in total shock. My adrenaline was really high. I was really upset. And I did go for a run. That helped. And
Mm.
I sort of tried to just carry on with my day and do my work as well. And also really allow myself to feel into those deep emotions of pain. But today I went back to my journal and it felt really good to go back to it after a while away and to see what came out. And it's such a release as well, just being able to write how you're feeling and not
Mhm.
have it like take up space here and be spinning around here all the time and get it down onto the page and read it. And it's almost that level of acceptance as well, like you're acknowledging your pain and you're giving it words. And yeah, it was really nice to be able to just do that this morning because I knew that I was avoiding it as well because I like it's painful, right? And I didn't want to
Mm.
address it. But yeah, the process of heartbreak, I feel like one of the things I am really struggling with is feeling a bit desensitized to it
Mhm.
because I have dealt with heartbreak before. And like I said, in my relationship, we have had those conversations where he's admitted to me about the problem with porn and paying for it. And so initially that was really hard to hear. And other things we've been through, we were having like therapy together. It wasn't as if our relationship wasn't healthy because on the surface, I guess it looked healthy and it felt healthy to me. It felt like one of
Mm.
the best relationships that I've ever been in. Well, the best relationship that I've ever been in. And these things are never black and white, are they? They're so
Mm.
nuanced. They're so like intricate. And yeah, I forgot what I was saying there, but
Yeah. No, no,
um,
it's such a journey.
it
Like
is. Yeah.
you're at the very beginning of it. So it's a huge
Yeah.
deal that you've picked up one of your tools now and
Yeah.
re-embraced it. I think there's
Yeah.
something in kind of sitting in the feelings too, like you've done, like taking
Mm,
those 4 days to just feel it and put it on paper. Because I kind of feel like
yeah.
when I journal, it's it makes it kind of it feels like it's then separate to my body. That makes sense.
Mm,
It kind of feels like it's
mm,
sat somewhere else now, and you
mm-hmm.
can look at it and it's tangible, but I don't know, it's
Mm.
kind of not a part of you, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it makes all of the sense. And there's so much science behind journaling as well, and in that what you've just said about viewing it as separate from you, because you're no longer holding it here or in, all over your body. That's where we store our emotions. You're giving it a name and you're putting it on the page, and yeah,
Mm.
eventually it does become separate to you. And I know that this pain will become separate to me, and I look forward to that day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And kind of rewinding a bit then, like when did you first get introduced to journaling and kind of find out that it was going to help you in this way?
I've always kept a diary, ever since I was really young. I always have kept a diary. And it started out with just things like went to school today, or I fell out with my friend. But I used to read a lot when I was younger as well. And I think it was Louise Renison. In some of her books, she did it like diary entries. And so I used to like copy that and like used to do the day. I even used to do the time, and then I used to just write what I was up to, and I used to find that process really enjoyable. So I've always journaled and I've always kept little diaries. And then I think my practice has just become better in terms of I've been able to use it to look deeper within myself.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. So it's just kind of been something that you've intuitively done, and it's just
Yeah,
developed into like a
yeah,
huge
yeah,
tool.
absolutely. Yeah,
Love
yeah,
that.
just developed it over the years and asked myself deeper questions. And even throughout therapy, and I've had life coaching as well, you pick up little bits and tools that you can then use in your own practices, to ask yourself, and that's been really helpful.
Mm, yeah. And you've taken kind of all of that knowledge, and now you've created a course, haven't you, for people to join?
Yes, I have. My course is like my baby, like honestly. I had no idea what I was even doing when I started this course. I just knew that writing has always been such a great tool for me to heal. And so I started looking into it, and I found this thing called expressive writing. And expressive writing is the process of writing down your thoughts and feelings in order to get them from spinning in your head and out onto the page.
Mhm.
And there's been scientific research done that has proven that it reduces stress and even reduces physical symptoms of like illnesses, and boosts your immune system. And when I started reading all this stuff, I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, I mean, I knew that because I know how profound the effect of writing has had on me. Um, but I just seeing it in the literature and seeing it, with the scientists and psychologists who have done these studies was just really, really, um, yeah, it just really hit me. And then I realized that I could use that in a course. And I've got a counseling, level one, I think, or level two. So it's a basic counseling course that I've done. And then I've also had mental health training and suicide first aid and assist training as well. So I kind of took my two skills, mental health stuff and the writing, and I created my course called Healing Through Writing. And I coach people through those practices of expressive writing in order for them to heal. And then we, like, each week we have a different focus. We do like poetry writing. We then learn how to write in the style of a blog, and then we do a short story. And then I go more into like the technical side of writing and storytelling. So it's got quite a lot in there, but it's a really gentle course, and it really just guides people through that gentle process of emotional awareness, emotional processing through the medium of writing.
That sounds incredible. Like,
Yeah.
I've been watching you online, like obviously on all your posts, and I'm like super curious about joining, to be honest, because
Oh, yeah,
um,
you should.
it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, what would you say to someone who's kind of nervous to join? But then you said it's a really gentle course, like for that person
Yeah.
who doesn't want to pick up their journal for the first time because
Mm,
what might come out. But yeah, there you've kind of described it as a really nice
yeah.
journey and progression.
Yeah, well, I would say on that as well that it is uncomfortable. And like I say this to my course participants as well. I say, don't do anything or don't visit anything that is too unsafe for you to visit. Do it in a safe space and do it in your own time and when you feel ready. But journaling and writing about our painful moments, like it is going to bring up stuff. And if someone isn't ready for that, that's okay. But I also really urge people to go into that because it's also where the magic happens. Like when you're able to really connect to that and just sit in that pain, feel that discomfort, look at those words and be like, shit, I went through this. And then let it go and release it and just move forwards gently and see that you have this really nice poem that you've created and you can go on to use your creativity with other things. It's that process that is gentle, but it can also trigger us and be dark as well. But I
Mm.
urge everyone to do it, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause, I guess it's more of a personal question from my side, but it's I had an experience at the weekend where I had to go somewhere that it
Mm,
really triggered me and brought up some quite traumatic memories from my childhood.
mm,
Um, and then I came away from it and I didn't know where to put that kind of energy. I still haven't
mm,
put it anywhere. Like I had a little cry, or you let it out by I go to spin. That's like my physical
mm.
outlet. Um, but yeah, like what would you say to someone who's been triggered or something's kind of come up for them in terms of journaling? Like what tips would you give?
I think when we're triggered, allowing ourselves to be triggered and be okay with being triggered, and grounding is a really good thing to do when we're triggered because I mean a trigger is almost like a memory, isn't it? Or a flashback, and it takes us somewhere that we're actually not. So if we're able to ground ourselves and acknowledge, okay, right now I'm feeling triggered, but what I'm feeling triggered by is in my past. And right now I can feel my feet on the ground. I can see that, oh, I'm actually in my bedroom and it's really safe and I've made it all cozy in here. And you can put music on and listen to like meditation music or something and just creating that safe environment for you to feel that trigger. Um, that's probably what I would say, but
Yeah,
it's not
like bringing
easy.
yourself. No, bringing yourself back to the present moment, I guess. Like mine kind of
Yeah.
it threw me back into like six,
Mm,
7 year old me. And I just couldn't
yeah.
get out of it for a while. And
Yeah.
I had to kind of remind myself
Mm,
I am a 33-year-old woman
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm not that little girl anymore.
Mm.
Um, but
But
yeah,
also being
yeah.
okay with like that little girl still being there, and that's okay, and honoring her and listening to her and
Mm,
hearing what that little girl wants to say to you. Like, what is she trying to say? Um, and also knowing as well that we heal within the trigger. We think that we're healing when we take a nice bath or when we do the meditation or when we do the journaling, but actually we heal when we're confronted with that trigger again. And then we have to work
mm,
through it and get re-triggered. Because in that moment of being re-triggered, we can choose the old path and go back down into the trigger, or we can choose the new path and go into, I don't know, whatever you want, you know? The world is your oyster.
mm.
We get to choose. But again, that process is really hard. But there are tools that help, like the journaling and stuff for that.
Yeah. And you do a lot of kind of cold water swimming, don't you,
I
as well?
do.
Is
Yeah.
that one of your tools?
So that was my main tool when I first got sober, because of the amount of drugs I was taking. The only thing that really hit the spot in the same way was forcing my body into the freezing British winter sea. And it was a good time. It was a good hit. Um, I don't really rely on that so much anymore because I don't really feel like I need it as much, but I still really love it. And that is something that I advise everyone to try as well. If you are in like a real deep, dark depression, putting yourself in cold water is great for just like transporting your body fully like into vigilance and awareness and the present moment. Yeah, yeah. I see people like either running really, really fast down the road or doing things like cold water swimming, and I just know that they've been in a lot of pain. Like you just know someone's in a dark depression if they do cold water swimming.
Loose and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I think because the setting that you do it in as well is so beautiful in Cornwall that
Yeah, it is.
yeah, I'm always so jealous when I see it because I love cold water swimming.
Oh,
But the water around here, I don't know, it's kind of I don't know what you call it. It's not an estuary, but it's
mm,
tidal, but it's also stagnant. So it's all just slimy
mm.
seaweed, and I'm like, I just
Oh, where are
can't
you?
get past that. I'm down on the south coast, just like
Okay.
I'm near Portsmouth, so
Oh,
we're
nice.
going to be meeting
Mm.
soon. So
Yes.
yeah,
Oh my God. So excited for
yeah,
that.
it'll be so good. Yeah, because you're also a trustee for Reach.
I
Um,
am.
so it'd be great to talk a bit about that. Because how long have you been a member for Reach of
I've
Reach?
been a member of Reach since my parents enrolled, I guess, when I was born. I think it was when I was born. It may have been when I was a bit older, um, but for a really long time, like my whole life.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And how's it kind of been going through the journey of becoming a trustee and getting involved with more the running of the charity?
Well, I wanted to get involved with being a trustee of Reach because of how much they helped me throughout my life. Like, Reach is the best charity. I'm biased, but the Reach is the best charity. It's a fact. Like, it's always just been such an amazing charity. And I even hear stuff about other charities, and obviously I won't name them, but you hear like stuff in the news or things that have gone wrong. And Reach has just always been about the people that it serves. And that is something that I like about it. And it's always been about being a family and being a community and being a team. And that is like our main ethos. And it's just such a beautiful space, really, really beautiful. And it breeds such beautiful people and beautiful events and activities. And I couldn't ask to be part of, a greater team of people.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it's been really great because I was a member when I was really tiny, and then I
Mm.
think because I was down on the south coast, it was hard for my family to get to the gatherings and stuff, so we ended up not being members, and I've only
Mm.
just joined, like again, I rejoined like
Mm.
probably like 20 years later.
Yeah.
But for work, obviously, I've come and joined you at like the camps away and stuff, and it's been really
Yeah.
great to see and to see
Oh.
kind of like the teens and like
Mm.
how they interact and just I don't know, just everything about it. I never got to experience that side as someone with a limb
Yeah.
difference of
Yeah.
hanging out with other teenagers. I never that whole
Mm.
period of my life I didn't see people with limb
Oh.
difference. So
Yeah,
it was just
it's
awesome to see that.
it's so needed, isn't it? And I think we, as people who have physical disabilities, like you can't really escape your physical disability. I mean, you can't escape your disability anyway, but
Mm.
that's something that people will always see. And I think it's so important to be with other people who look like you and who understand your experience when you have grown up being outcast from society. Um, and I don't say that in like a victim way of like, oh, we're all outcasts, disabled people. I say it in like, that is the reality of the world that we live in. Like,
Mm.
disabled people are still viewed with disdain, are still viewed as being less. And I think it's changing. I think it's changing. And I'm glad to be part of that change as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. There's definitely been a shift from I guess when we were growing up to now, kind of looking around.
Yeah.
I think the Paralympics as well. I don't know if it's because I was
Mm,
immersed in it, but it just felt like being there. I went to Paris
mm.
the same time the year before, and I'd actually got pointed at and laughed at because of my arm by a couple.
Wow.
And from then on, all I
Mm,
wanted to do was hide. Like I didn't want to. And obviously, you go to Paris, you've seen Emily in Paris, and you want to wear all the outfits. So I picked my
mm.
outfits, and I
Love
wasn't
that.
hiding my arm. Um, and then after that, I just had such an urge to pull my sleeve down, to wear the jacket,
Yeah.
to do all the things. I fought it and I didn't do it. But then going back the next year for the Paralympics, like it was so different. Like there was just representation obviously everywhere. I was
Mm,
seeing people with limb difference everywhere, which was exciting for me. And then I was having I took loads of pictures like with my arm in the air, like really proud.
mm.
I would not have done that the year before. So
Yeah.
even that felt like a huge shift.
Yeah,
But
gosh, what a journey that is, like to go there and be laughed at, and then the next year be like the complete opposite. Oh, I love that for you though. That's so special.
yeah, it was
Yeah, it's so
definitely like
nice.
it felt quite healing.
Mm,
Yeah, because I hadn't had that experience in such a long time as well, kind of someone in public pointing and
mm,
reacting. I haven't had that in a while, so it was quite
mm.
a like smack in the face when it happened. I was like, wow. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like yeah, it was cool to be able to go and see the change.
Mm.
Just hopefully it carries on.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I hope so
yeah,
too. And
yeah,
it's such a shame that those things still happen. Because I've had
mm,
those things happen to me, and yeah, oh, it just frustrates me. It really
mm,
does.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And what has your journey been like with your limb difference kind of throughout life? How did you experience? Yeah.
So I definitely have issues because of it, but I think like we all do, and that's okay. I always had this understanding that I was different, and I always wondered why. And I think I blamed myself. And obviously, I didn't have the intellectual capacity when I was younger to fully comprehend what was going on or how I was feeling. And so I would act out in certain ways, and seek attention and be very emotional. And I mean, I guess I'm still a little bit like that now. But it was one of those things that I just didn't really know what to do. And my parents didn't know what to do about that either. They really supported me though. Like my parents were great, but I still had that like, why am I different? And I was operating from that energy. And because I didn't have the intellectual capacity, and awareness to say that or understand that, it came out in those ways. And yeah, I used to hide my arm when I was at school because I just wanted to fit in. I think
Mm,
there were days where I didn't care. The majority of days I didn't care, but some days I just wanted to be normal. And I just didn't want that, like people staring or people saying stuff. And as I got older, obviously you just have to come to an acceptance, don't you? You just have to be like, I can't grow an arm. I'm never going to grow an arm. So I have to accept who I am. And I have to accept that this is the way that I look. And once I cultivated that mindset of like, I have to do this, it was a lot easier for me to do it. But even now I still have insecurities and I still feel all of those things that I felt when I was a child. Like you said, like, we get triggered back to our childhood selves all the time.
mm,
Um, but now I just have a better way of soothing myself. And I also talk to my inner child as well. And I call her little Emily, and I say, like, it's okay, little Emily, like, you didn't understand what was going on. And I like give myself a hug. And I just really imagine myself as that little girl that didn't really know why she was born different and why she looked different to everyone else. And that's really helped me to be just more gentle and more loving to that version of me and the
mm.
journey and the process of acceptance as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that I don't know how you find it, but I get quite frustrated with myself sometimes. If I slip back, like that time where I wanted to suddenly hide,
Mm,
I then kind of like call myself out, but probably a bit too harshly. And I'm like, hang on a minute,
mm,
you've gone on this journey, you've got this far, and now you want to go all the way back to the beginning.
mm,
Like, no. Um,
yeah.
but I guess it's just getting your head around the fact it's not linear. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have
It's not.
dips.
It's not. And it's also okay to want to hide because it is taxing. Like every time you go outside, you know that you're going to be stared at. Like normal people don't have to live with that. I say normal, that's like the wrong word to use, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Non-disabled people, that's what I
yeah.
mean. Non-disabled people don't have to deal with that. And it is that extra emotional weight of, yeah, it's just exhausting sometimes. So it's okay that you want to
Mm.
hide, Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand
I
that.
think just taking that element away sometimes. If you, because I've got other things like social anxiety and all those kind of things anyway. So then
Mm,
when you've got, oh, people are going to be staring at me naturally
mm,
anyway, on top
mm.
of all the other things your brain's trying to do, I
Yeah,
think, yeah, sometimes it's just, let's cut that one thing out
yeah.
and it's a bit easier.
Yeah, it's like our nervous system is operating at that higher level and we're constantly having to like bring it down, bring it down, bring it down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Um, and also, but I don't know how you think about it. I don't know how to put the question even. But when I go to the Reach weekends,
Mm,
I find them so emotional. Like they're so
mm,
wonderful and I love it. But also, I'm always crying. Like I cry the whole way through, and then like we have the
mm,
lovely gala, and
mm,
then I kind of go home, and I still feel like really like high emotion.
mm,
Um, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I'm not used to having a
mm,
huge group of people that almost know implicitly your experience.
mm.
But yeah, I just always find it super emotional. It's
Yeah.
great, but also hard.
Do you know what that is? That's like you feeling safe enough to feel those emotions that maybe you don't feel around people without
Mm.
limb difference. Because you're around people who understand, maybe your body is sort of just like, whoa, like now I can actually feel all these things because these people get it.
Mhm.
And I totally relate to that as well. You're like, when you said that, I was like, oh my God, don't cry, don't cry.
We'll be crying in a few weeks. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm glad
Yeah.
it's not just me because I had to kind of my boyfriend's coming and I've had to prep him. I'm like, look, it's just a high emotion. There's nothing I can do
Yeah.
about it. I'll
Yeah.
cry. Everyone cries. Like you see parents crying and then it makes you cry even more.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's lots of emotions and it's
Yeah.
lovely, but also
Well,
makes you feel things.
if you cry, come over to me so we can cry together.
Okay, deal.
You
I'll
have
come
to
sit
find
next to
me.
you.
Yeah.
Um, Awesome. So, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about was your dancing because, again, like on your platform, you just look like kind of like a boss ass, like dancer, like you're just like rocking it
Yeah.
with your dance club, like,
Yeah.
and I just love it because, again, that's something I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit scary when you have
Mm.
a visible disability,
Yeah.
just to even put yourself in that space. So, like, how
Hmm.
did you get into it? How have you found it?
Gosh, yeah, I still find it scary sometimes, going to a dance class knowing that I'm going to be the only physically disabled one there. I still have that, like we were saying earlier, that extra emotional weight of thinking like I'm different here. And so I am having to bring that back. I mean, I don't have it all the time, but I do definitely still get that. But because I have danced since I was really young, and it's always been another form of self-expression for me and something that I really enjoy. I just focus on that element of it and I really just channel that inner person that is confident because we're never just one thing. We're never just 100% confident or 100% anxious and not confident. We are a mix of both of them. So I really try and channel my confident self when I'm dancing. And I think it's a great space to do that as well. Even if I'm not feeling that confident, I still feel like it's almost like when actors say that they're able to be someone else and that's better for them to be confident. That's kind of how I feel when I'm dancing.
I
Yeah.
want a persona. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
really do.
fantastic. No, it looks
I
really
love it.
fun as well. Like a different kind of outlet to other, I
Yeah.
guess, like physical activities that you can do. It's like really
Yeah.
empowering.
Yeah, it's so fun. And I think it's really important for women to be in women-only spaces. And all of the dance classes that I go to are women-only spaces. And in the same way that, we feel held in the limb difference community, I feel really held in women-only spaces as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
definitely. Yeah. I go to a few like women's circles and things, and that's so nice.
Mm.
It's the only kind of, I guess, yeah, female only space that I go to, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's
it's just
important, isn't
different.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um, and kind of talking about how I guess we were all with our journeys of limb difference and growing up, I guess got different issues around that. Um, like I've looked into it before and I haven't really found much research. There's not much research, is there, on limb difference, disability, and anything. Um, but in terms of mental health, like, do you think that they are intertwined, like limb difference and mental health, and how? What would you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely intertwined. So our brain is in our head, which is our body, right? And people think our brain is somehow separate from us because our minds and our thoughts, it's like, oh, they're not physical things, but our thoughts are inside of our brain and our brain is inside our body. So of course it's linked. So yeah, I've always really felt that like mental health and physical health, it's like this. It's like
Yeah.
this. And I just, yeah, I'm so sure of that. And I've looked into it as well. And I just know that those two things, they just can't be separated.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
people want to believe that they are. And, but there's so much done, like, stress, even when you look into stress, and you realize how that affects us physically. For example, with anxiety, when we have anxious thoughts and when we're ruminating, sometimes I get stomach aches. That's a symptom of anxiety. So, yeah, absolutely. I think the physical weight of having a limb difference and a physical disability will always affect us mentally.
Hmm.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I feel like a lot of things that I navigate go back to it. Kind of just
Yeah.
the pure feeling of being different or standing
Mm,
out, or
mm,
the like absolute need or want to like able pass and hide. It
mm.
does so much to your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. I also mentor people one to one writing mentorship things that I do. And I said to one of my clients the other day, she had a problem and she was worried that it was all in her head and she was getting these physical symptoms and she was like, "Oh, but I'm just scared that it's all in my head." And I was like, I said exactly what I've just said to you, but your head is inside your body. And it's really as simple as that. Like, yes, it is in your head, and your head is in your body, and it's also in your body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Everyone talks about things so separately, don't they?
Yeah,
It's
but it's
all,
just, it's not.
yeah, they're all one. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's growing up with a limb difference, who's kind of, I guess, navigating the journey that we've spoken about throughout this podcast? Like,
Mm,
what would you say to them?
I'd say definitely find a community, find your people. And I have to really go inwards here and like think like, what would I actually say to my younger self? Probably just like, everything you are feeling is okay and it's normal and you are normal and your experiences make sense and they matter. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think
Mm.
that's what you need to hear, isn't it? I think,
Yeah.
especially when you're grappling with everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been so great to chat to you. And
Mm.
good luck with your writing course starting next week. So,
Thank you.
obviously, I'm tempted to join. Can you share with our listeners how they can join, just in case they'd like to as well?
Yes, so next week I'm doing an 18-day mini Telegram container called Reflect and Rise about inner reflection and rising to your full potential. So each day you will get a journal prompt for inner reflection, and then you'll also get a writing tips that will help you like elevate your writing in some way. And I'm also going to be just putting loads of content in there, um, book recommendations and podcasts and stuff like that. And that's only 11.99 because I really want to make writing and self-help and self-development super, super accessible to people. And I also think it's really important to have like a container and a community. So yeah, that starts Monday, the 14th of October, and that is only £11.99. And then after that, on the 4th of November, my 6-week course called Healing Through Writing begins. And that is coaching people through the process of healing themselves through the medium of writing and connecting to their pain in order to transmute it through creativity.
Beautiful. It sounds like perfect timing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really
Yeah,
excited for it.
yeah, that sounds really great. But thank you so much for talking to me, especially at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm sending you lots of love and healing thoughts
Yeah.
as you're going through your journey. I know that the whole community is right now. So,
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I'm very
you.
grateful for you taking the
Yeah.
time, and I can't wait to see you in a few weeks.
Oh, me too. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and you're brilliant, and this is amazing. I can't wait to listen to it.
Uh,